Hello, my name is Julia McClusick. So my client's name is Rachel Huntington. She's a 30-year-old woman with two children. Their ages are 6 and 8. She is married to a man named Leo. He's 32 years old. He's very verbally, physically, and emotionally abusive to Rachel. He is very abusive in front of the children, and their children are aware of what's happening. And whenever it's done in front of them, they cover their eyes and cover their ears. When Leo's done yelling at Rachel, he tries to comfort the children, and the children will run away from him because they are scared of him, and they will go comfort their mother, which makes Leo even more mad. He's never hit the children, but he's very controlling of them all. He doesn't let them participate in activities because he's scared that the more exposure they have to the real world, the more chances there are that they will tell somebody what is happening inside their home. Leo's also very controlling of Rachel, and he never lets her leave the house, so she spends a lot of time with the girls, which is why the girls and Rachel have such a good relationship. Rachel does try to take the children out of the house and give them a normal childhood whenever she can, when she knows Leo is going to be at work for a long time. She will go and take them out to play or go do something fun. Leo takes the car away, and he also controls her finances, so it's not very often that she can do it, because she has to pay for a bus or transportation because there's nothing within walking distance. Rachel has a job, but Leo doesn't let her work because of his controllingness, and he wants her to stay home with the children. Um, his reasoning for doing this is because he doesn't want the children in daycare, because he's worried that the children will tell somebody at daycare, but the children still attend school. He also controls Rachel's finances, like I said, and regardless of it all, Rachel is unsure how to leave him. She wants a divorce, but she is scared that if she leaves, that Leo will find her. It's really important to base our client based on a client map. So there are different levels, and level 1 is about the client's support system, including their family and friends. I'm going to be talking about family because it's most important for my client's story. Since she is a domestic violence case, I believe family is very important. So Rachel is married, obviously, but it's a very unhealthy marriage. She's very abusive and controlling. Rachel's parents and grandparents are both alive, though, and they have offered her emotional support and help with the girls if Rachel ever wanted them to take the girls to one of their houses, so that if something bad was happening, that the girls wouldn't witness it anymore. She Rachel's mom has also offered her money to sneak her money. They've offered her rides and a place to stay. They have been working with her to kind of create a plan for Rachel to leave Leo. So the second level is government, and this is also going to be very important in Rachel's case. So Rachel has applied for food stamps and other assistance because since Leo controls her finances and almost everything in her life, including her job, she has not been working. So when she does leave Leo, she's going to need a little bit of help before she can start working again and building her money and finances back up to be able to help her with her and the girls. She will also be making a police report and filing for a personal protection order, which is something that the government will need to help her with. So this leads me to my goals and action steps for my client. So one of the first goals is her family is going to be very helpful in her life during these goals and everything. She's going to be turning in paperwork for a women and children shelter, which is for domestic violence victims, until she can afford housing. While she's in the shelter, her family has offered to call their own family landlord and set up an appointment for Rachel to go view houses or apartments somewhere for her to stay after her time at the shelter is done. The action steps to do this would be turning in the paperwork for the shelter, and then once she's in, following the rules and respecting everybody that works at the shelter. And the step 2 for this is to call the landlord and explore those options. The second goal for Rachel is to get in contact with the police and kind of get a case going. So Rachel does want custody of her children. She also wants a divorce, that PPO. So she's going to need to ask a lawyer for those above items, which I will be um, referring her to a lawyer. And then she will fill out those paperwork. She will tell the police department everything, and they will start getting those things going for her, which are those 2 action steps. Legal and housing services are the most important things for Rachel right now, since those are the things that are going to help her get out of the house and out of the relationship that she wants to do. The rest will follow along, such as counseling, which her and her children will both need. But luckily, the shelter that she will be in provides counseling. And when it's time for her to leave the shelter, then I will make a referral for her to go see a counselor when it comes closer to that time. There are a few referrals that I made for Rachel prior to her going to the shelter. So I did make a referral to a lawyer so that they can get those things going, including everything that she will need to go to court for, including custody and the divorce. Then when it got closer, when her time at the shelter was done and she found appropriate housing, I made a referral for her to go see a counselor because she would no longer be getting the counseling treatment from the shelter, and I felt like it was very important considering the trauma that her and her children both went through. So the next thing was termination, and I felt comfortable terminating Rachel when she had completed her goals. In a very short time, she did complete her goals. She had appropriate housing. She began her case with her lawyer, including the PPO, getting custody, and getting the divorce. I felt like there was nothing more I could do with her. I had made the referral for her counselor, and they had been helping her, and I made the referral for the lawyer who had been helping her, and I really felt like she was in the hands of her lawyer and her counselor now. She had completed her goals with me, and there was nothing more that I could really do for her because she needed to figure out the law and counseling aspects. I thought that was the next important step for her. When I talked to her about it, she felt like she was really getting on her way to being stabilized. She felt good about herself, she felt safe, and she was completely okay with this, and she was proud and confident in the progress that she has made. Rachel did find out she was pregnant, so before I terminated her, I made one more outgoing referral to WIC, which is Women's and Children program that can feed and give support to mothers who are pregnant. And although she didn't necessarily need that, I felt like she kind of just found out she was pregnant out of nowhere, and it would be very beneficial for her. Terminating a case can be really hard, and there are a lot of stressors that can come with this job, along with any job. I really have a big heart for domestic violence, which is why I chose this case. It's something very personal to me as I have been through it. Um, so getting stressed out and letting my emotions get to me are a real thing, which can cause me to burn out. And I think to prevent this and doing some personal things for myself, I can try to avoid this, including keeping work and my personal life separate so I cannot get too emotionally attached to a case. If I do, then I would start thinking about my own self and the things that I have been through, or getting too attached to my client, and that would cause me a lot more stress and emotional distress. So keeping the work life and your personal life completely separate, don't bring one into the other. If something does happen and they do come into contact with each other, then having things like something to do when you are stressed, including going for a drive, listening to music, going for a run, anything that you can do to calm yourself down and kind of remove yourself from the situation. Therefore, you can keep that professional aspect and try not to get too burnt out from the stressors that this kind of job can give you. I also have to remind myself that I'm doing the best I can, and I'm a person too, but at the end of the day, I have to do what's best for my client and kind of put that game face on and keep my personal life away from it. But that's all I have. Thank you very much for listening.